Morning then, day 38. Today we have got a 33-mile run from Harta to a place called Domsod. And this morning presents some new logistical and physical challenges. Let's start with the physical. The physical is basically I've got 45 miles in my legs from yesterday, and I honestly don't know how the legs are going to perform today. It might be Tin Man out there today. But yeah, I've got to treat this with a lot of caution. Go very steady, ease my way back into it, because I think this is probably where you risk kind of something going wrong. So there's that. It's still a long way, 6 or 7 hours of running, but I feel all right. I mean, I feel like I slept well. I feel like the legs they feel like they've recovered kind of okay. No, things aren't quite as tight. They've settled down a bit from where they were last night, but logistical problems. I arrived yesterday in this town and all the shops are shut because they kind of observed the sort of Sunday closing here like we used to back in the UK. So I was able to get some food to eat for dinner, but I haven't been able to get water. I haven't been able to get anything for breakfast. And so the next town, or the first town that I'm going to come across, I can't hear the shops are all going to be shut until like 8 o'clock, so 6 o'clock in the morning I've got to leave. The next town I'm going to get to, I think, is probably 2 hours away. Maybe it's a good sort of 10, 15 miles. And that's one that I'm going to have to deviate to go into as well. So I'm going to have to run an extra distance to get into a shop. So first couple of hours I'm running on empty. And in terms of food and water, not particularly well hydrated. So these are two new issues that I've got. I've got one bottle of water over there that I've got like 500 mils. So hopefully that'll get me through. But I think it's going to have to be a very sort of slow one today. And then I'm going to have to make a pit stop as soon as I can. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more dyke roads today. And then at the other end in Domsod, I don't have a roof. I'm going to go to a campsite where they do have some sort of camping sort of pod style things. But I don't know, I haven't booked one, couldn't get in touch with the people. So I'm just going to rock up and see. Tonight might be the first night that the bivvy set comes out, so I might be sleeping out under the stars tonight. So yeah, it's all getting a little bit more interesting here, and we're going to have to go and see how we get on. Anyway, I better crack on. So today's run I'm going to dedicate to my friend John. John, if you've been watching these videos, you'll have noticed that at the end of day one, he arrived out in Romania and crewed me for the first 4 days. He was an absolute hero out there. Basically made sure I had water when I needed it, and a very, very difficult stretch where there were long miles without any shops or anything. I've known John since I was 11 and we've been friends all that time. I mean, that's 33 years of being mates. And he's the kind of guy who will do anything for you. He's very kind. And having him at that start point, I now realise was absolutely enormous. It's kind of foundational for this whole journey. It would have been so difficult to get those first 4 days done. I felt exposed, I felt vulnerable, I felt, I was running big miles. Logistically, it was going to be a bit tricky. And John has done something for me as a friend, coming out and putting, he didn't really have much of a holiday himself, really. He just came and did that. And that's what true friends do. I think, getting behind you, show their support when you need it most, and did it, just out of the goodness of his heart. So John, today's miles wouldn't be happening if you hadn't have helped me with those early miles. I'm sorry for being such a grump during those early 4 days. You basically helped create the platform on which I'm running today. So thank you, John. And yeah, I'll never forget it. So for today's evening update, end of day 38, I'm sat right by the River Danube here, which is beautiful. I've got a campsite just across down there. I've got a little kind of wooden tent to sit in. I've got just been to the shops. Basically, the trouble with some of this stuff here is once I finish running, I've got to do like a 3-kilometre round trip walk to get groceries and stuff for breakfast. But that's all sorted now, so gonna have a good night's sleep. Today's run was difficult. It was a hard one actually. Empty, on no breakfast, unsurprisingly, no water for the first 10 miles. Then I stopped at Lidl and I probably ate too much, but I was starving. And then after that stop, I had momentum before that, but it was really hard to get going again. And tummy a bit full. Actually, for the first time since I've been on this trip, I actually wanted to lie down and go to sleep. I was looking for benches and stuff, but I'm sat on a bench right now. But one of the things I've noticed is there's not an awful lot of benches through the towns where I've been going, so luckily I had to keep moving, but I dragged it out. The distance changed a bit as well, the route changed a bit, distance got longer. I ended up doing about 35 miles today rather than 33. I know it sounds a little bit, but it was at one point I thought I was going to end up doing 38, and that does kind of play mind tricks. Legs felt heavy, body felt tired. It's not dissimilar to the day after the run I did in the 41-degree heat, and it's not surprising, you put in 45 miles, you're going to feel it the next day. So it's just all about kind of carefully managing the body, and really today sort of managing the mindset and just trying to be kind to myself and accept that I was going to run badly, or not run badly, but it was going to hurt a little bit more. I was going to be tired, and not to think too much about it and not to worry too much about it and just take my time and get there. And I still did it in a kind of clockwork 5 miles an hour, which was good. And I've reached Domsod, and now I'm within 1 day of Budapest, so tomorrow we run for Budapest, and I'm pretty happy really. I've got more fuel for tonight, and I've got more water, and I'll kind of try and get myself some good sleep and get myself back on good track tomorrow, because I've got 36 miles to do again tomorrow. And yeah, you're gonna have tough days like this, I guess. That's just how it's gonna be, and I just had to work quite hard to make sure that I kept everything going really. It was yeah, what can I say? It's just one of those days. I'm not surprised I haven't had more of them really. And yeah, just resilience, The one thing, once you've done a 45 or you've done that 41 degree in the heat, that's some of the things that I was telling myself was just, it's not as bad as those days, and you're moving well despite the fact that you're tired. There were days, even when like 5 miles to go, I was struggling. I'm like, this isn't as bad as the 5 miles that I ran through all the heavy traffic into Novi Sad, just clipping along these big old dyke roads where, you've got this kind of blissful isolation. They are getting a bit dull, dare I say it. There's not, the scenery doesn't change too much. And it's kind of nice because you don't have to think about anything really. You just sort of get your head down and run. I was through some towns today as well, on some roads, and I much preferred the dyke roads to those bits, but yeah, it does get a bit samey. But at the same time, you can pick up momentum on those dyke roads. Some of them were paved, some of them were dirt track. So again, a good mix. And yeah, one thing I'm struggling with really in Hungary is when you're running a lot of the routes, the shops are off quite a way into the town. So in order to pick up fresh water or, pick up more fuel, you've got a detour, and it could be as much as 2 kilometres. That's a difficult one because it means that you sort of tendency is to go less
You know, in Romania it was brilliant because you're just sort of running through these towns, and every 10 k's there was a town that you were sort of running along the main road, and the town was built around the side of the main road, along the side of the main road, and the shops were just there frequently. So you literally just stepped off a pavement and went into a shop and sat down, and then you were back on the road again. It's different here, so it's a slightly different challenge. It was cool today as well, so it didn't have the temperature to deal with. At one stage it was looking a bit stormy. It's now been really nice and sunny and beautiful, and it's going to be, I think, a lovely sunset here by the river. The campsite has a cafe and stuff, so I'm all happy. And yeah, another big day tomorrow, and I think, if I get through this lumpy bit over the kind of peak of these 3 days, then I get a few shorter ones. And north of Budapest, you start to think about ticking off Hungary as well. We're not far off that. And again, as ever, I'm just counting down the days now until Adam arrives, because that's going to be a huge boost to see him and have him moving through the countryside with me, and we'll have some fun. And it means that these bits, when I finish in the towns, Hungary's been a bit difficult. It's quite hard, I found, to connect with the people here. Language is a huge barrier for a start, but yeah, I don't know. Some of the towns are quite quiet, and there doesn't seem to be sort of like a central. Everything's quite spread out. Interestingly, you have to sort of decode what the shops and the pubs and the doors, and nothing is. It's not very sort of showy. In most other cities and towns, you sort of go, "This is a bar." In here, it feels like everything is a bit more kind of like you have to sort of work out. Look behind the door. You go, "Is that actually a cafe or is that a bar?" So it could be a bit lonely, but isolating when you get to these stages. If there's no one who speaks any of the language, and I don't speak any Hungarian, so I can't really help with that either. And so having Adam alongside after the run, I think will just be really nice, because we'll have some good downtime too, and I think that's really important. Back when I think about kind of connecting with Mira and Milos and Igor and everybody, those moments of human connection are really important in this run. So you don't just feel like you're on your Jack Jones yomping through the European countryside the whole time on kind of repeat. So anyway, it's been a good day. When the run is done and I'm intact A to B, it's always a good day. I live to fight again tomorrow, and all I need to do now is just get some good rest, refuel, reset the mind, and go again tomorrow, which is always the way. But listen, if you have any questions, if you want to ask any questions about my kit, about the fueling, about what I do out here, any things that are just burning a hole in your brain, thinking, why doesn't he tell us about that? Ask me in the comments, and I'll endeavour to answer them in the video, because I'm happy to. Sometimes when I get to this point, my brain is quite dead, so I'm just talking about the things that immediately pop into my head. But there's loads of other stuff that I'm sure is quite interesting that I'm doing every day that nobody really knows, that might be quite interesting, about how I pack my kit and all of those things. What I've got to do to keep my feet intact, all those things. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so I'm going to go eat my dinner and try and get this video uploaded, and I will see you all tomorrow.